Welcome back to News Talk. The debate over outfitting police officers across the country with body cameras continues. Here in D.C., Mayor Muriel Bowser just announced a supplemental budget plan for the next fiscal year with $5 million set to be used to execute a plan to give 2,800 police officers body cameras. Monica Hopkins-Maxwell, Executive Director of the D.C. ACLU, joins me now to discuss the district's program, and we welcome your calls, your questions, your comments. You can call us on our news line now at 703-387-1020. Again, 387-1020, area code 703, to join the conversation. Welcome.
Thank you.
So just to kind of orient our viewers about the ACLU's mission, I think most people are aware that you want to preserve liberties and privacy, but you do support the use of body cameras to try to combat some of the issues we've seen across the country and what many people allege or accuse to be police misconduct.
I think the ACLU's position has been the same since the get-go, that police body cams serve as a vital tool for police accountability and transparency, to increase police community relations, to also assist officers in collecting evidence and doing their job. But it is a tool, and the ACLU's position has always been it is only a good tool when the proper policies are in place.
So it really comes down to a balance. I think it's this entire debate, whether you're approaching this conversation as a community activist or a police officer, the mayor, the council, or your organization and other activists. It's finding the right balance in how to use that technology. And right now we have this proposal from Mayor Bowser that the public would be given limited access to the footage of these MPD body cameras. Basically, anyone recorded would have the right to see unredacted footage at a police station as long as there are not criminal charges against that person or the police officer. And if charges are filed, the footage would only be accessible through the trial's discovery process. And then there would also be a process where people could request footage through a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, and if that was taken in entirely public space. So there is some wiggle room for access to this footage. But you don't think that's enough. You feel it's too restrictive, that proposal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some kind of fundamental flaws in how these policies are moving forward. So first, to look at FOIA. We just look at FOIA itself. We believe that FOIA actually addresses some of the privacy considerations. It has some of the considerations in FOIA where they could say, look, somebody's privacy is going to be compromised, so we're not releasing that footage. You also covered something else that actually we're a little concerned about are these, general policies that will be promulgated by MPD through their process on access. So if a charge has been filed against someone, they would not be able to view that footage. And we think that that potentially incentivizes placing a charge on someone. And then what if, even if that person has a charge against them, they also want to file a police complaint? They wouldn't be able to look at that footage other than through the discovery process. And so we think that there's still a few things that still need to be worked out, because those general orders that are promulgated by MPD actually don't have any public kind of input into that process. We think that that should really rest with the council.
So earlier this year, Ms. Bowser had said that none of that footage would be available to the public or the press, but she has softened her approach on this stance. And police have been warning that full access to that footage would likely prompt a flood of requests, FOIA requests, and that would cost the department up to $600 an hour to review that footage before releasing it. You do acknowledge that there is a labor cost beyond just the actual technology cost, that there would be an ongoing cost to the department and to the taxpayers to fund this program, and the more restrictive it is, the less that cost will be.
Yeah, we acknowledge that, but there's no evidence that has been given because this is a new program. And so, with any new program or a pilot program, we think reporting at the end is essential, and then we could make the necessary changes. But to say we're going to restrict access because it has the potential of being so costly when that's not founded in fact is detrimental to the fundamental reason for implementing body cameras, which is to increase transparency and accountability with police officers.
Some have criticized this process as it's developed, that there wasn't enough input from the D.C. Council's created advisory committee on which your organization has representation. Do you feel like your voice was not heard?
We, along with some other members of the advisory committee, sent a letter to the council and the mayor talking about the process, that there were meetings that were held. Some of the things that we had concerns about, we had not seen, in the policies that they were proposing. And at the final meeting that we had, we were told, we would see the policy when it was printed in the register and when it came before the council. So there were concerns.
All of the footage taken inside a home or other private places, according to this proposal, would not be released to the public. The same with any footage related to incidents involving domestic violence, sexual assaults. Do you support that provision? Is that an adequate protection? As I said, your organization strives to protect privacy.
So it's problematic to say that privacy is protected within a certain area, within a specific area, like someone's home, specifically in the home, because what happens if there is a matter of public interest, a police shooting that occurs in a home? We really do think that FOIA, as it exists in the district, gives a little latitude to protect people's privacy. And I think, one of the things that people seem a little confused about is FOIA is there for the right of the public to request these documents, these government documents, and it is up to the government to look at that and say, okay, we think people's privacy may be violated. And then there's a due process in there that if people think the government is wrong, they can appeal it and they can take them to court.
What about minors recorded in a public space? Mm-hmm. Should their faces all be blurred? And how do you determine who is a minor?
I think these are very difficult questions that you're raising, and this is why we think that a process should be in place. We should think about all these things before just rushing into placing 2,800 body cameras on police and they start to be used without these good policies in place.
Well, wrapping up now, we have this goal of having this rule structure set up by October 1st, and yet we just got this proposal. We have Councilmember McDuffie has oversight over this issue, saying he wants to have extensive public hearings. What's next in this process? Are you optimistic that we'll have something in place at the start of next month?
Well, there are already police body cameras on some officers within the district. We're cutting it awfully close, but we hope that we could actually be a leader in the nation with good policies and a vibrant program that has police accountability and transparency and good public relations at its heart.
Well, we'll stay tuned, and we appreciate your insight and your time today. Monica Hopkins-Maxwell, Executive Director of the D.C. ACLU. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
We're back with the program note right after this.